Greetings nerds and virgins, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be going through every crippled UFC fighter ever, but before we start, can you like and subscribe? I'm getting views, but I want some subscribers as well since I'm building a community here. So please subscribe to hop on the shadow train. Choo choo! Hop on the shadow train. But yeah, first of all we got Michael Bisping, who won the UFC middleweight championship while being fully blind in one eye. Bisping, unlike everyone else on this list, stands out though because he lost his eye in the UFC when he went up against Vitor Belfort, who was on TRT at the time. Vitor Belfort was jacked to the gills and landed a head kick which gave Bisping a detached retina. Bisping was scared to go to the doctors in fear of him not being able to compete again, so as a result of that, a potential fix was left too late, which had Bisping go permanently blind in his right eye. Majority of Bisping's career in the UFC, he fought with both his eyes, but when he lost his eye, that's when he got his most notable wins, like against Anderson Silva and even becoming world champion with one eye when he gave Luke Rockhold the left hook Larry. Michael Bisping is forever in the history books as the toughest UFC fighter of all time, without a doubt. Up next though, we got another half-blind man. We got the Bullet, Shara Magomedov. Currently signed to the UFC with a professional MMA record of 13 wins and 0 losses. This kid has a bright future in the UFC, as long as he avoids Bo Nickel at any cost possible. But back on track, Shara used Michael Bisping as inspiration since he painted blueprint on how to win the UFC title while only having vision in one eye. Me personally, if I had one eye, MMA is the last sport I'd be doing. And honestly, for Shara's sake, I would love if he just decided to retire at 13-0 as a big what if in MMA, since every time he's in that cage fighting his opponents are probably thinking target his good eye so that way he's completely blind and it's a free win. In my opinion, the risk isn't worth the reward, and he's already getting offers for Hollywood movies and shit, so I'd go that route if I was him. He literally looks like a walking supervillain. He could be the greatest villain in Hollywood history in my opinion. But next up we got Matt Hamill, a man who is fully deaf, and he is the only man ever to beat John Bones Jones. Matt Hamill's rock hard head had Jones' elbows fucked up, so the ref had to call it off. An absolute all-time great. He has beat other notable fighters such as Tito Ortiz and Michael Bisping, even though they gifted Bisping the decision, which even Bisping has admitted Hamill definitely won that fight. Matt Hamill was known for his crazy good American wrestling and even won a gold medal in the Deaf Olympics Greco-Roman wrestling. He's also a 3-time Division III All-American, so big ups to Matt Hamill, defying all the odds. But the next crippled UFC fighter, we got another man that is deaf. We got Askar Askarov. Whoa, another Dagestani that's crippled. Maybe Connor was onto something about that inbred shit. But jokes aside, Askarov is an absolute beast, just like Matt Hamill. Askarov won gold in the Deaf Olympics, except his was in freestyle wrestling. Askarov's first fight in the UFC was against Brandon Moreno, so clearly Askarov wasn't playing any games. He managed to take Moreno to a draw. I mean, Moreno really struggles against crippled fighters, so if you don't know, Moreno was getting his ass beat out of him by a man with one leg in the regionals, known as Matt Berzold. Back on track though, after Askarov's debut versus Moreno, he went on a 3-fight win streak versus Tim Elliott, current UFC champion Pantoja, and the UFC legend Joseph Benavidez. He then lost a unanimous decision to Kai Kara France, then requested to be released by the UFC due to health issues. But in November of 2023, Askarov returned to MMA in the Russia League known as ACA, and he actually won. Askarov is only 31 and a great flyweight, holding a record of 15 wins and 1 loss and 1 draw. And I'd love if he came back to the UFC for another run. Him versus Makayev is a fun matchup stylistically. Up next we got Nick Newell, who is the most known crippled MMA fighter who actually never competed in the UFC. Technically, he was on Contender Series. Nick Newell only has one arm and is a wrestle heavy fighter. He went 11-0 in MMA before losing to Justin Gaethje in PFL, but back then it was known as World Series of Fighting. He then went on a 3-fight win streak after that loss and fought on Dana White Contender Series where he ended up losing a decision to Alex Munoz. Nick Newell, after losing on Dana White Contender Series, moved to Bellator where he won his debut, then lost his next 2 fights there via split decision. He retired in 2021 and is currently 38 years old and will forever go down as one of the biggest what ifs in MMA history, as in what if he had 2 arms. Now we go on to our honourable mentions, and first up we got Tito Ortiz, who made it as the first retard to be a UFC champion, so congrats to him. Another honourable mention, we got Israel Adesanya, who developed a woman's boobie and still chooses to fight in the males division, so he's very courageous, and shout out to him as well. And the final crippled UFC fighter, we got Roy Nelson, who suffered from severe obesity but somehow made it to the highest levels in MMA, so big shout out to him for that. Come to think of it though, 95% of heavyweights suffer from obesity, so if you're a fat fuck with no athletic background whatsoever, just go into MMA, since the average UFC heavyweight has 0 skill yet makes 6 figures. But let me know if I missed any crippled UFC fighters in the comments below, and as always, remember to like and subscribe to hop on the shadow train. Choo choo, hop on the shadow train. But yeah, I'll see you at the top.
You tried to break me, but you couldn't tear me apart. I've got a fire inside, gonna ignite and restart. I'm rising up higher than before. With every step I take, I'm closing in on the score.